Yo, what's going on, guys? I don't make videos that much anymore, but I just had the thought, and I want to put this out there before I lose the thought. I want to kind of help people do something. I want to help people determine how much of a tip they should give their Uber drivers. A lot of people don't know this, but at least for my area. So I would assume it might be similar for other markets as well. But for my area, us Uber drivers, we get about 50% of what the rider pays. So if you're getting an Uber and you're paying $20, your driver's getting around $10. If you're getting an Uber and you're paying $12, your driver's getting around $6. Now, a lot of times, you might get your Uber for $12, $13, $14, and you're like, oh yeah, that's worth it to go where I need to go. But your driver's getting half of that. So it's not worth it for them to take you to where you need to go. You're paying what you think is worth. And it to me, like, I'd say some of these trips where I get like $6 or $7 or $8 and I double it. And I'm like, yeah, that's about worth it. I'd pay about that much I would even accept that much for that trip, I'd pay that much to get to where I'm trying to go, but your driver's getting half of that. So if you're ever confused, like you wanted to help out an Uber driver, but you don't know how much you should give them, or, you think that they're balling so they don't need it or anything like that, or just what you should do, half what you're paying, and then give them a little bit off the top. So if you're paying, so I know it didn't come out right, but in my head, I thought it right. So if you're paying about $15 for an Uber, you could go, okay, my driver's getting about $7 to $8 for this. But depending on how the ride goes, I think I want to look out for my driver. Depending on how the ride goes, you might want to look out for your driver. So, if you're paying $7 to $8 for your trip, if you're paying $15 for your trip, your driver's getting $7 to $8. You could give them $3. That's a pretty decent trip. That's sending them from a single digit trip, like $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $9 to a double digit trip. They're making at least $10 on that trip or $11 on that trip, and that makes it way more worth it. Because a lot of Uber drivers, at least in my area, there are Uber drivers even online. Like a lot of the Uber guys and the Lyft guys will say, do not accept those single digit trips, those low trips. They will tell you that. And for the most part, it's like, yeah, because they're not worth it. But you can make it worth it for your driver who accepted it. You can then make that single digit gain on that trip that driver just made a double digit trip, and then it's worth it for them. So, and I know some people are super generous. Like last night, somebody gave me a $20 tip. Somebody gave me a $50 tip last night. I'm just talking to him, telling him stories about, Uber and this, that, and the third. And then as he's getting out of the car, he's a young guy too. He goes, here you go, man. And I'm like, thanks. I'm thinking it's like a 5 or something. Like, yeah, thanks. I look, I'm like, oh, it's a 20. Oh, it's a 50. What? I was like, are you for real? He was like, yeah. I was like, why? And that's a stupid question to ask. You never punch a gift horse in the mouth. I was like, why? He was like, good conversation, and he was like, good conversation, and it's been in my wallet for a while, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I'm still a little skeptical on it. I kind of want to take it to the bank just so they can check it. I see Grant's face in it, the watermark. I see the other watermark going down the line of USA 50. I see that, but some people are over generous. Some people are very nice. But you don't have to be. Just a few dollars helps your Uber driver. So like, let's say if you're paying like, let's say you're paying $30 for a trip and your Uber driver is getting like 15. When it comes to that, it depends on how long the trip is. Because if you're paying $30 to go 30 miles away or 30 minutes away, if you're paying $30 to go 30 minutes or 30 miles away and your Uber driver is getting half of that, that's not worth it for that Uber driver. It might be worth it for you, but it's not worth it for the Uber driver. Now that $30 might be all you have. And when it comes to that, it's like, because I can understand being on that side when you don't have enough money. You literally cannot afford to give a little bit. I understand that. I've been there. But when it comes to that, if you're in that situation, it might be better to go over to Lyft and get that trip, because Lyft gives their drivers more of the share. So if you're paying $10 for a ride on Lyft, your driver's getting $7-ish. That's decent. But if you're paying $10 on Uber, your driver's only getting $5. So if you're paying $10 on Lyft and your driver's getting $7, you only need to tip $3 for them to be like, damn, thanks, like this trip was worth it. If you're on Uber and you're paying $10, you got to tip a little more, So whereas you pay $10 on Lyft and tip $3 for your driver to be happy, on Uber you pay $10 and you got to tip $5 for your driver to be happy. You end up paying more on Uber. Lyft is cheaper for both parties if if you're trying to tip and things like that. So yeah, like it's if you have these trips and they are you're paying a lot and you're going very far, try to get it on Lyft, because then your Lyft driver, because a lot of us drivers, we drive both. Your Lyft driver will be, they'll come out on top. On Uber, if you got it, a few dollars always helps. Nothing is the worst. Nothing is only really good for an Uber driver if you tip nothing, if it's very busy and the area is surging. So if your trip costs more, like way more, like there's an event in your city or it's just very busy, there's a concert in your city or something like that, it's New Year's Eve, it's St. Patrick's Day night, and things like that. These times, around those, that's when you don't need to tip anything. Now, if you tip, it's all because you want to. Because you're paying a lot anyway. You're paying, $40, $50, $60 to go home, and your home is probably 10, 15 minutes away. You don't got to tip anything. Your driver's making bank that night. But if it's like normal, nothing's going on, and the trips are like you're paying a very cheap amount, and then your driver's getting less on Uber and Lyft, but at least on Lyft they're getting a little bit more. But yeah, I just wanted to get those thoughts out there, because I know a lot of people, and it's been bothering me a little bit, because I feel like a lot of people think that, like, depending on the car you drive, that an Uber driver doesn't really need it, doesn't need your tip or anything like that. That's not really the case. Now, sometimes, yes, I know there is a lot of people who literally, they're getting off of work and they go, I'll go online, make a few dollars while I'm on my way home. They're bored and it's on a weekend and I'll go online because I'm bored, shit like that. But you got people like me who, I do this full time. I drive Uber full time, Uber Lyft full time. You got drivers who this is what they do to make a living. So the tips and everything that comes with it, it helps them out a lot. Whereas like somebody who's just doing this because they're bored, they're just trying to make a little extra scratch, I can understand, like, all right, okay. But then when it comes to that, then you could be like, oh, like, how long you been driving Uber? Oh, is this what you do full time? You could ask that type of question, because people ask me that a lot. And I guess they're trying to figure out, is this my main job, so they can like tip, I guess. I don't know, but it kind of makes sense, because if I was in their shoes and I wanted to tip, I'd go, okay, before I get, because I'm even that way when it comes to like giving out money to panhandlers or the homeless people on the corner. Sometimes if I got the chance, I'll ask. I'm like, oh, like, why are you homeless? What are you gonna do with this? I don't want to give it to you and you just go get some cigarettes. I don't want to give it to you and you go get some alcohol. Obviously they can lie, but yeah, I try to see what's going on. Sometimes I just get them the food just straight up. And some people will even do, like, if people have like 2 stops on Uber or Lyft and they're going into a store and that's their first stop, they'll ask if I want anything, but I'll be like, nope. I don't tell them like you can tip me instead, but I just be like, no, I'm okay, thanks. But they don't tip me instead though. And I was like, like you were just gonna get me chips or whatever out of the store, but you can't give me that $1 or $2 that you were about to spend. Come on. But anyway, yeah. If you have the long trips or it's a very expensive trip, get that on Lyft, because more of that money is going to your driver, and then you don't have to tip too much. You don't have to tip a lot for your driver to to make their day. Whereas like on Uber, they're only getting half of what you pay. So you tipping on Uber is like, it makes their day, but then you have to go further in the hole just to make your driver's day. And a lot of people aren't that nice. But I didn't mean for the video to be this long, but I guess I had a lot to say about it. After this video, I'm gonna upload another video explaining my story from last night, about my area, about tips and why I don't drive in a certain city and things like that. But anyway, thanks for hanging out. Tip your driver. It helps out a lot. If your driver's doing this full time, because I'm doing it full time and I'm using it to pay my tuition for school, so it really helps me out. But yeah, tip your driver. It helps. You don't have to if you don't got it, but a little something, $1-2 will help. If a driver does 10 rides a day and they get $1 on each of those trips, that's $10 extra on top of what they made. That's something. If I do 10 rides today and I get $5 on each of those trips, that's $50 extra on what I made. That's amazing, But anyway, peace out. Thanks for clicking on this video. If you did, I'll holler at you. If you stopped by the video, if you found my channel, thanks. But peace out. Remember, tip your driver.